Still live?
Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here. We got a very, very special show for you today. We're going to be talking a lot. We're going to be talking Tulsi. We're going to be talking Trump. We're going to be talking Assange. We're going to be talking Grandma Oatmeal, a.k.a. Elizabeth Warren. By golly, nobody wants to vote for her. With Eric and Mike Jackman together for the very first time on this show, the Jackman brothers of the infamous Jackman Radio. That's a big time. Listen, your politics and pint stuff is amazing. It is grossly underwatched, my friends, and they can't live stream yet. You know what that means? That means you need to sub right now. Stop what you're doing, and thank you very much for that awesome super chat we're going to get into in a second, Mr. Flickoff. We appreciate it. But first, go subscribe to Jackman Radio right now. There's actually a link below that you can check out. And I'm telling you right now, it's some of the most funny, insightful, and intelligent conversations with really, first of all, you got real people in there like Yang and Tulsi, and I would say even Marianne Williamson, right? They have a real feel. But then you get somebody who's all rigid and like not ready for you there as well, and you kind of slip them a few fucking amazing questions. So, so first of all, guys, for my audience who have no idea who you are, even though I've had John Solo like 2 or 3 times, you know what I'm saying? Let them know how you got started in comedy, because I knew you back when you were student scholars for 9/11 Truth.
All those years ago, as George Harrison sings. So I mean, Mike and I were 33-year-old twins from New Hampshire, and we've always done impressions our whole life. I was trying to think about what I could tell your audience about our inception, and really the first big coming out skit that we did was for our 7th grade talent show when Bill Clinton was leaving office. And Mike dressed as Bill Clinton, I dressed up as Linda Tripp. We had a friend play Monica Lewinsky, and then a friend play Ken Starr. And the 4 of us did this little quick 15-minute play in front of our whole middle school and all of our teachers, and it was absolutely hilarious. And Mike dressed up as Bill Clinton and had a saxophone and sprayed his hair. It was just so brilliant. We let it rip. So we impersonated our teachers. We started with Bill Clinton, and then Jesse Ventura. Always been very big Jesse Ventura fans.
And of course, George W. Bush was big from the 2000 election, and when we stole that in Florida with my brother Jeb. Jeb stole that for me in Florida.
And so obviously, basically to make a long story short, always done impressions, and then with Trump, man, we always had an impression of Trump. And then flash forward to 2016, the Donald is really fucking running for president, comes down that escalator at Trump Tower, the most incredible escalator ride you've ever seen in your whole life. And I just made my message very simple. I want to make America great again, and I'm the only one who can do it. And my friends were like, Eric, this is your time. You got to bring the Trump thing out into the mainstream. And a T-shirt company hired me. They knew that I did Trump, and I dressed like him. Because at that point, I'd only released a couple videos dressed as Trump doing skits. And they said, this T-shirt company who had a shirt called Trumpy Cat said, we'll pay you pretty much whatever you want if you'll go to Trump's rally dressed as him and promote our shirt. And I did that. I named my price, and I couldn't believe they agreed to pay me that. So I'm like, that's when I knew that I had a really good product. And I went to the Trump rally, and of course, Trump spotted me that night, called me to the front of the stage, and I was dressed as him, and gave me a really awesome minute plug and laughed hysterically. And here we are.
Yeah, and you know what? You've taken your love of comedy and your love of politics to the next level this election season. Politics and Pints is outstanding. The production value is great, and you've had some really meaningful conversations with these politicians. What do you think, before we get into current affairs, what do you think your most surprising and striking moments, both on and off camera, with any of the candidates were, individually?
Well, we actually just had a really great conversation with Joe Sestak, who's running for president as a Democrat. He was an admiral in the Navy. He served in the Clinton and Bush eras, and we had a great conversation with him. That is in production right now. It's been filmed, but it's going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. And Eric asked him about the PEOC, and he said, "The PEOC? How do you know about that?" Eric's like, we were like, oh, I want to have a beer down there. So he was pretty accessible, and then I had a great conversation with him on camera about the Gulf of Tonkin and off camera about the USS Liberty. So that's a little teaser for he was incensed about the USS Liberty, and he had no idea that Lyndon Johnson said, "I will not embarrass an ally, and I want to see that thing at the bottom of the ocean." So,
well, you know what? We'll talk about Tulsi Gabbard in a moment because I think there's a lot out there, especially in the last few weeks, right? With her deciding to go to the debates, get the second to least amount of time, and still dominate them. Honestly, I didn't think she had a great showing. I wasn't happy that she also promoted the universal basic income. I think that's actually Yang's weakest point. I think Yang actually does the best job up there when they try to roll with some Russia bullshit or even climate change. He goes, yeah, I guess I agree, but here, this is what's really going on. You know what I mean? I just don't like his solution. He does sound smart when he says that. But Tulsi, far and away, makes every other candidate up there look like a chump. And, in my opinion, there is nobody else up there who's being honest about our wars of aggression in the Middle East, who's being honest about the fact that she actually would get us out. Pete Bootlicker ain't getting us out of any fucking place. He's going to end up putting more and more troops in no matter what. And I just want to ask you guys, what do you think her name 3 of her strongest points, and then I would say 2 of her weakest points, each individually?
Yeah, Bootlicker is he's establishment, man. He's trying to play that middle of the road leftist Christian bullshit. We got to keep our troops everywhere. Tulsi's strongest suits are her strongest points. For starters, she's a real person, man. I mean, we have this unique and incredible front row seat to American politics here in New Hampshire and to the presidential primary. And I first met Tulsi Gabbard almost a year ago. I went in December of last year when she was teasing running. She hadn't made up her mind yet, but I could tell this trip, depending on how the turnout went for her events and the response she got, she was probably going to make her decision around that time, around the holidays before the new year. And one of the things that just struck me about Tulsi, man, she's just like us. I know, Burma, she just turned 40 this year, in July?
Yeah.
And Mike and I just turned 33. Tulsi turned 38 this past April. She's a down-to-earth, regular, on the older spectrum of millennial, everyday person who's had a very unique life and unique life experiences and a lot packed into her only 38 years. And she's a very kind and warm and funny person. She actually has a great sense of humor. So since I've gotten to know her, I consider her a friend. We've done a lot of events together where I've introduced her, and I've had some one-on-one time with her just where we can chat, nothing on the record and no cameras rolling or anything. And she's just normal, man. She's doing this because she cares. She genuinely cares about the future of our country, and she's incensed that our men and women in uniform are treated like cannon fodder and are essentially muscle and a proxy force for corporate forces and corporate entities in the United States, that our military has been completely hijacked and bastardized and taken over by corporate forces, which Smedley Butler talked about, war is a racket going back to the 20s?
80s, yeah, 80 years ago.
So Tulsi's
30s.
funny, she's authentic, she's poised, she's strong. She doesn't get rattled easy. It is really hard to rattle Tulsi Gabbard. And I've seen her take some pretty hard and serious questions, and she doesn't get all worked up and rattled. So those are some things that I really admire about her. And I want to point this out to your viewers, Jason. I don't know if you knew this. Tulsi Gabbard has read JFK and the Unspeakable by James Douglas.
Oh, that's interesting. Well,
yeah.
I would say this. Obviously, she's playing her cards, maybe not going as far as she possibly could. Dennis Kucinich, I didn't have to agree with everything that Dennis Kucinich said while he was running for president, but he was one of the few people that would tackle 9/11 truth and the war machine. And I got to tell you, here's the problem with Trump. The media attacks him for getting out of Syria or moving Syrian troops from Syria, supposedly withdrawing, right? They're not withdrawing. They're going to Iraq, and Baghdad says they don't want them. And instead of going to Iraq, well, we'll just put them in Saudi Arabia because we were going to do that mid-October anyway because there's a run-up to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard conflict that we're going to propagate here. I mean, this is dangerous shit. But at the same time, you give him so much fodder that he can call out ABC News playing gun range footage in fucking Kentucky. And, you know, and you're like, you can't disagree with the guy. Like, I think the paradox has gotten to a new level. For instance, the alt-right, I hate even using that term, but there isn't really a lot of true alternative media anymore. I mean, I hear Republican, Democrat, I hear all Democrats are Satanists now. In case you didn't know, apparently it's the party of Satan. It's not the Republicans anymore. You know, it's not the Moloch worshiping Bohemian Grove Republicans. It's the Democrats. Side issue. Yeah, no, apparently the party of Satan. Anyway, well, all that's going on, right? You have Trump pushing more and more forces there, but then you get to fucking call out the media for their bullshit. We got ISIS soldiers running around less than 24 hours after the media predicts it, and it's all Trump's fault for not putting more troops in there. You know, the world's turned upside down, dude. Like, they were attacking Tulsi Gabbard for the WikiLeaks emails. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that. That was interesting. Obviously, in 2012, you know, a guy like John Podesta being big in the DNC and with the Clintons is going to initially support a candidate like Tulsi Gabbard out in Hawaii for Congress. They liked her back then because she checked off all the boxes. She was young, progressive, female, a woman of color, a veteran. So, of course, they're going to want to harness that to try and win an election. But then when you see her kind of speak up and say what's on her mind and kind of blaze her own trail, they don't like that very much. Especially that email from those two butt-licking Hollywood power brokers that basically said, we're not going to support you anymore. Yeah. You've definitely covered this in a video before, the tentacles that those two are connected to. So, you know, when she talks about how she was told by endorsing Bernie Sanders and leaving her plum post at the DNC that her career would be over and that she would be attacked, you know, she's not kidding. I mean, it's a very real thing.
Exactly. If anything... Oh, what's going on there? Is that okay? Sorry.
We're good.
Did you guys hear that? Okay. Anyway, if anything, I would say this. They make her look better. Unless there's other emails I haven't seen, it shows that, first of all, we don't see any firsthand contact with Podesta. It shows the problem with the Super PAC series in general, right? So this is a Super PAC based in veterans. Of course, Podesta's going to give all this money. I mean, that's how it's rigged. You know what I mean? So then they think they're going to get a favor. So fast forward to 2016 when she refuses to endorse Hillary Clinton and wants to endorse Bernie Sanders, despite the fact that Bernie Sanders can't fucking endorse Bernie Sanders.
Now look, Jason, in all fairness,
yeah.
In all fairness to me, Jason, okay? I saw Hillary's photos from the leaked email, and that's what gave me the heart attack. Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
Jason, I looked into it. My people looked into it, and Vladimir Putin hacked Hillary's news and spammed Bernie Sanders' Gmail account with it, and he had a heart attack. Very sad.
It was a rough thing, but I'm recovered. I'm getting over it. That's why we need health care for all.
So horrible.
Health care for all.
Hillary's news, the great killer of empire, and Bernie Sanders.
You know, by the way, guys, if that's not ironic enough, right? That's a high level of irony that she stands up and has basically said that Hillary's not going to forget this. Stands up to the system, says that's enough. This is a corrupt system. There's no other emails. And then the only reason we've seen those emails is because of Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. And she's the only person standing up there that actually thinks that we have a fucking right to see the fucking emails in the first place. Every other candidate up there says we don't have a right. And a guy like Trump who says, have you seen the WikiLeaks? Can't get enough of the fucking WikiLeaks.
I love WikiLeaks. I love WikiLeaks, okay?
Has now let the man who put them there stay in jail and rot beyond any kind of real sentence. He should be out of jail. Has a 14-part indictment. Okay, it's shameful that will illegalize free speech. Like, we're not supposed to ever see. I mean, he's what? He's a cyber criminal. We're totally ignoring the fact he's from Australia. that now we have a band of ex-parliamentary and other members of that government banding together saying he should be extradited back to Australia and left alone. Tulsi Gabbard's the one that will even acknowledge the issue and say, yes, he's a hero. There is no crime. Trump has turned his back on him, and it disgusts me that people would use those emails in a manner to try to, like, boost him up and say, you know, everything he's done is right. He turned his back on free speech, in my opinion, in that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, you're right. Tulsi Gabbard, we talked about this with her in one of our early episodes of Politics and Pints. You know, and basically it sets a precedent for publications like The Guardian, The New York Times, any paper or journalist who essentially did the same thing that Assange did and was involved in could be prosecuted. And it opens up a slippery slope for the future. And they've really basically tortured this guy and driven him insane. He's still a young man, but if you look at him, he looks like he's about 75 years old, and he hasn't been taken care of, and they're hoping to drive him insane and probably just kill him that way.
I mean, he could barely remember how old he was. He was mumbling.
Yeah.
He was fighting back tears. I mean, that's, you know, they've tortured this guy. They've essentially kept him in confinement for almost a decade now. They've tried to ruin his reputation in every single way. What?
Oh yeah.
For publishing the documents? Listen, it's a disgusting thing, and again, Gabbard's the only one even talking about it. So
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
Donald Trump doesn't win in 2016 without Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. So for him to go, I don't know WikiLeaks, I don't like WikiLeaks, it's not my thing, when they arrested Assange,
It's a cop out.
during the election saying, I love WikiLeaks, look at these WikiLeaks, is you know, it just shows you the kind of, you know, how much of a huckster Trump is and how he doesn't give a shit how he obtains his ends, you know. The means, he doesn't give a shit. He'll burn everybody and throw everybody under the bus as long as he gets what he wants and gets what he needs. And he had a real opportunity, Jason, to kind of really show that he was an outsider maverick by supporting Assange and helping him and doing what he could to leverage the power of the presidency to support him and support free speech and journalism and the proliferation of exposing secrecy and all the fuckery that the world elite do, like the Clintons, like the Bushes, you know, like all the offshore banking with the Panama Papers and all of that shit, dude. And then seeing the Rothschilds' fucking names turn up in those papers and the Rockefellers and Podestas and the spirit cooking and all that malarkey and shit, man. Boy, that led to a huge awakening. And obviously we've been tuned into this shit for a long time, Burmis, but your average person who's not a freak like us, they had their fucking minds blown, dude, with the WikiLeaks from 2016.
That's true. And then, you know, you have the Epstein thing, which I think it's not a good look on his presidency at all right now. I don't know how it could be. His Secretary of Labor had to resign after they tried to put him in a press conference where he couldn't deny that he was told that Epstein was an intelligence asset and to back up.
Right.
Well, you know, I've read the report. I just say, don't believe everything you read. The next day, I'm resigning. Hi, here's Donnie. Hey, we're sorry. My bad. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking saying any of that. Holy shit. You know, I mean, literally, it got that bad. And now, I mean, again, we have video of ISIS fighters as predicted less than 24 hours later. No video of the wing of Epstein whatsoever. Barr doing nothing. The Zorro Ranch not being raided. Rusty Shackelford has video surveillance of the island weeks before the FBI come and then has the surveillance of the raid as it happens. It's a fucking embarrassment, dude. If that doesn't tell you we have an injustice system in this country, just like every other third world and second world Pol Pot dictatorship you fucking read about, well, I'm sorry. We do.
My first question would be, if we apprehend Ghislaine Maxwell, and by the way, where in the world is Ghislaine Maxwell? My first question would be, how do you pronounce your first name correctly? And then we can go from there.
So not the kitty rape then. You go right to the name.
Yeah,
no, we got to get her name right so the alternative media can pronounce it correctly.
The lady Ghislaine, the lady Ghislaine, the lady in red.
You know what? I started going Ghislaine hardcore about after 40 or so videos after I'd seen Virginia Giuffre Roberts.
Giuffre.
Yeah.
We should ask David Icke how to pronounce Ghislaine, mate. You pronounce it reptile.
David, let's talk about that for a second, because I did just do a big round table on Epstein with Whitney Webb and Corbett and Ricky Varandas and I always pronounce that incorrectly.
James Corbett.
No, George
Corbett. Hey, Jason. This is James Corbett of the Corbett Report, and we're going to go.
I get Corbett right. It's Corbett, Tripoli, Varandas, and Webb. And when we talked about it, we said, look, you look at this guy and how he was such a chameleon, and he had his hands in so many things on top of the child trafficking. You know what I mean? It's just so in your face. I mean, you're not a CFR and a Trilateral Commission guy for like over a decade, and a Bear Stearns guy, and a Wexner guy.
How about funding the fucking MIT labs there, man? You ever read about that guy who killed himself? Who wanted to expose the child porn from the MIT lab?
Well, that's what I mean. And then after you get busted down in Palm Beach, where we're talking like flamboyant level people like Trump, Clinton. After you get busted, you reinvent yourself after your banker Epstein and bounty hunter arms dealer Epstein. Seriously. And then Dalton School Epstein, and then into, like I said, globalist Epstein. Now you're tech central Epstein, eugenicist Epstein, and you're talking MIT, Microsoft, Gates, Musk, and I'm sure that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just what we know, and we barely know shit. That's the crazy thing. Like, when Jason Burmis is at the top of the game, listen, I'm not trying to degrade myself too much, folks, but we are fucked. Like, seriously. When I'm the guy, like, come on, man. Seriously.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers, brothers.
And, well, Burmis, I know, man, and your critiques about Tulsi Gabbard, about being in the CFR, and kind of embracing UBI, I mean, those are legitimate critiques, man, and I can understand that. And, I'm coming, my support for Tulsi, I'm coming at it not as a partisan Democrat or even Republican. I tell people, look, here in New Hampshire, man, we're really independent politically, and I'm an independent with strong libertarian leanings, and I'm progressive on some things, and then I'm conservative on some things. But I just want to point out that, a couple of weeks ago, Tulsi Gabbard appeared at my brother and I at our 33rd birthday party. And we had over 100 people turn out. It was a big event here in Peterborough. And she didn't have to do that. She didn't have to come to I invited her. She didn't have to show up. And I don't think you're going to see any of the other candidates do something like that. And she came, and her husband sang a beautiful traditional Hawaiian lullaby for my brother and I. And her husband, Abraham, is her videographer who films all of her events, does all of her ads and all of her videos. He's super, super talented guy.
Oh, he is. That's great to know.
He's incredible. He's an awesome guy, really sweet guy, down-to-earth guy. And I'd love to see him be the first husband or the first dude or the first surfer dude.
Listen, man, I don't care, what color your skin is, what's in the pants hole, okay? I don't care if you're going to just get me out of these fucking wars, get me out of this police state, get me out of this economy, which is so in your face plutocracy, where that's another problem, you know what I mean? Where they literally want to get that wealth gap even further. Every year they got to make more and more in a profit. And, I now do this mixed martial mindset thing with John Fitch. And we were talking about it. And he said, well, yeah, but what, don't they want the money? I'm like, no, they don't care about the money, because all they do is that at the top is gain all the assets. They're too big to fail. And then when the fucking jobs go, they get bailed out. They own all the land. They own all the factory. They're fucking fine. Everybody else gets fired. They're on the dole again. They own less and less. They don't own their property anymore. They're leasing cars more and more. Everything's a rental. You die in debt. Even if you accumulate everything, you die of fucking cancer, and they got you there. I mean, holy shit.
Yeah, you got that right, Burmis. I mean, we went through that with our old man. He was diagnosed with the same terminal brain cancer that John McCain and Biden's son and Ted Kennedy had, multiform glioblastoma, and they gave him 5 months, man, and it's just you hit the nail on the head, dude. You're dealing with a tragedy like that, watching a loved one perish right before your eyes, and you got to worry about how the fuck am I going to pay for this? I got to take time off of work where I'm not getting paid. If I'm here helping my dad in his deathbed, I'm not getting paid. So you add that stress to the stress you're already dealing with. We're fucking squeezed, Burmis.
Yeah.
We're fucking squeezed. You know?
And the thing is, and here's another problem I have, and that's one of the big tools they use to prop up Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. Now, Bernie Sanders, he towed the line on Syria. How could we abandon the Kurds, you son of a bitch, Trump? He showed his true colors there. But then, he starts talking about health care for all. And here's the deal. First thing you do, executive order. There's no more magazine ads, print. There's no more fucking TV ads, and there's no more ads on the web for any fucking medication, period. You're done. Fuck you, Big Pharma. You're out. That way, the doctor says, hey, this might work for you. It's an actual drug, I want to think. You don't approach them. I saw this on TV. There's this turkey that just stopped smoking. Can I get on a drug that'll let me go cold turkey, but the side effects might be suicidal thoughts and actions? Can I get that, please, sir?
Oh,
Take it in spades. Here, let's get you off the cigarettes. Hey, give one to your kid. Here.
Yeah, it's been shown that the evidence is there that these big drug companies have a lot of doctors in their pockets, and they're just pushing their drugs on them, and they basically are hitting a quota. And it's great to see that a lot of these big drug companies are actually being treated like regular drug dealers are being treated. They're being investigated, they're being prosecuted, they're finally going after them, and that's what you should do. I also agree with individual responsibility. I was in a very bad car accident 6 years ago, and I busted up my arm, and I had to sleep in a recliner for 3 months. And for the first half a month of that, I was not able to sleep without pharmaceuticals. I did not enjoy taking them, and I got off of them as soon as the pain was manageable. But for a lot of people, that's not the case. They get hooked on it very easy. It's very expensive to try and maintain that habit, and then they're going to go to something like heroin, or that leads into fentanyl, and then they're dead. So we're seeing that big time up here in New Hampshire, and it's about time that they started treating it, for the problem that it really is.
And here's another great thing about Tulsi Gabbard, Burmis. She's the only candidate that I've heard in the Democratic primary, at least, mention the Portuguese model for dealing with heroin and opioid abuse and addiction. Obviously, huge problem here in New Hampshire because we have a smaller state, but per capita, we're carrying the water for most of the deaths in the country. And when Tulsi didn't ask me anything on Reddit, she was asked about the opioid crisis and heroin, and she mentioned the Portuguese model and maybe looking at needle facilities, needle exchange, harm reduction strategy, the more libertarian approach to rehabbing a human as opposed to locking them in a fucking cage for a habit that they have.
Well, you know what? I got to tell you. So they want to put one of those, before we transition into Grandma Oatmeal, because I think healthcare is a good way to do it.
I have a plan, Jason.
Yeah, by golly. Have you seen the dance one, the dance video?
I'm going to skim notes on that, Jason.
She might seize up. I don't know. All right. The thing, all right, so right now they're trying to pass something in Oneonta. It's called the RSS Project. Now, we already have in upstate New York, where I am, we've had a problem a long time with things like meth and other types of like hippie drugs, rich kids in Cooperstown usually, or, we don't have a homeless problem by any means, but I'm also in a college town. So, we have an overdose here or there. Heroin's worked its way, a few deaths here and there. Now, the area greater has that problem. Here's the problem with bringing that, they want to put, they were trying to get it in the 6th Ward, which is literally less than a quarter mile away from a string of bars that lasts another mile plus that are all walkable. You put them in a town with that accessibility. Not a great economy outside of the service economy, which are the restaurants and bars that you don't want to be in or that are right next to them. Okay? Those are what pay the most. So now you have a second problem. First of all, you're foot mobile. Second, the temptation's everywhere. And you're in a college town where there's 2 colleges. And that market for all types of drugs, whether it be cocaine, ecstasy, mushrooms, forget it. Any kind of a substance that would get you high, give you those endorphins that you're trying to get away from, are very accessible. So what do? What's the Jason Burmis approach? Well, I'm in upstate New York. There are places where it's not as accessible, all right? Just 15 to 20 miles away that are not college towns, that are, you put them in a rural area on a bus route, right, where it's there, because we do have that kind of transportation out in Otsego County. That way you can get a job somewhere in a small town, or maybe there's one bar, so they're going to know that you're part of a program. You're not supposed to be there, obviously. It's more of a suburban area where families, there's not as much going on. Have them hold a job for a while. Get into a routine where they're not around that environment, all right? Then 3 to 6 months down the line, maybe they don't have to go there, and maybe now you get social services to put them in a regular apartment that's a little more urban where I live. You don't clump them all together in an area where there's so much temptation. You know what I mean?
Right.
You set it up to fail. I think that's because let's be honest, man, at least for me, I mean, we all go, no one's happy all the time. We all go through our bouts of depression. Some take it deeper and deeper. But at least I find myself the happiest when I'm setting goals and I'm working towards those goals, and like jackpot every time I hit one. You know what I mean? I do a video I really like, or I got 7 out that day, or I land an interview with Peter Dale Scott coming up in a couple days. You landed Tulsi Gabbard, all these other people. It's a good feeling. It gets you motivated. It gets you feeling good. So I think goal-based and it's sensible, small steps are what you need to do, especially with addicts. And I know there's a physical need, but the problem is if you keep just trying to wean them off that, at some point, man, they go back to it again and again. I think it's a failed idea. But I want to move on to Grandma Oatmeal and healthcare. She's another one that, the free healthcare for all, except for everybody's going to get taxed. Like, how do they give her the most time in a debate and think she's going to win? By the way, subscribe right now to Jackman Radio. If you have not, I see 900 subscribers. Shame on you. 140 watching. Can we get 15 more subscribers over at Jackman Radio, for God's sakes? Let's go. So
we got high quality stuff, guys.
High quality. Free. Grandma Oatmeal, Elizabeth Warren, by golly, how are they pushing her?
Well, she got 24 or 25 minutes at the last debate, and Tulsi got 6. So
824. She got 824.
So CNN's pushing her down our throats. MSNBC is shoving her down our throats. And I think she's a palpable and a perfectly acceptable alternative at this point to the DNC, other than Joe Biden. Yeah, she's an acceptable alternative for them, for Biden, and they're pumping her. She almost has more YouTube 15-second clips than Tom Steyer at this point. So I don't know.
Every time I hear her talk, I'm like, first of all right, here's the thing. Let's say I actually liked anything she had to say. I don't. She's fucking terrible. She's absolutely got not an original thought in her head. It's like when record player Biden, listen, you got to tell the people who have the baby they need to put the record player. Like what the
Grandma
fuck?
Oatmeal.
Grandma Oatmeal. And guys, not the delicious, tasty oatmeal that maybe your grandma gave you, that hot, delicious maple syrup, buttery, maybe a little brown sugar top with some raisins oatmeal. We're talking about lumpy, cold oatmeal with skim milk, fuck you in your mouth. Like, seriously. That's
on your throat.
That's the grandma oatmeal we're talking.
What did Grandma Oatmeal do in 2016, Burma? She fucking laid down for Hillary Clinton. So, I mean,
all of them. Listen, again, they tried to get that fresh fruit face bootlicker. Kamala Harris and Cory Booker are just too slimy. Like, they're up there just smiling and just there to push their careers. No, everyone knows they don't have a chance. And we had a guy named Castro literally talk about transgender baby abortion rights because a man who wants to have a baby is going to change his mind sometime down the road.
Dude, Castro is such a fucking clown, dude. He's dead in the water. He doesn't have it, man. He doesn't have it, and that's appealing to the most radical aspects of progressives and Democrats. that kind of rhetoric. And you know what? This is why Tulsi Gabbard is appealing to people who were maybe Trump people but kind of don't like Trump's personality or like how horrible he is towards people and want somebody who can be a maverick and pick up some votes from middle of the road and maybe more moderate or conservative people. That Tulsi's line that I don't see deplorables, I only see Americans. That was a great line in the debate.
Well, not only that, a great line. She's not, you're like, first of all, she's not going to fold. You put Grandma fucking Oatmeal up there, and she's getting 20% of the vote. She's gonna stutter like. Did you see her seize up at like the most softball follow up for like literally? If you could count it, there's a 5 count before they're like they want to nudge her to see if she's alive. I mean, you're putting in a politically less talented Nancy Pelosi, and Pelosi's not good. You know, she never ran for the big time. She never, nutted up and said, I'm going in there. You know, that was all Hillary Clinton. And at least Hillary Clinton has been around the infestation of the predator class long enough and was mentored by a guy like Edgar Bronfman to really know how to lie to your fucking face. I mean, people still don't know that Webb Hubble is more than likely the biological father of Chelsea Clinton while they're on tour, and she looks nothing like Bill. There's not a hush. There's not a whisper. Hey, does anybody want to get a hold of their 23andMe? Can we get that? Can we fucking get that?
Burmis, Danny fucking Williams looks more like Bill Clinton than Chelsea Clinton.
Listen. I'm not saying Danny's lying. I would lean towards Dan. Why doesn't he do his 23andMe? He should do that and put it out there.
Yeah, don't liberals love that shit?
I think Danny Williams is definitely Bill Clinton's son, man. I'm just going to throw it out there right now, man. I've looked at the pictures. I've read about it. I've
talked to him.
I've talked about it. I don't doubt it. Listen, again, I think Trump's probably got a lot more kids running around. He's made solid deals. He's the
I never even said Tiffany was mine. I've never admitted that Tiffany was mine. I never said that. You'll never see that, Jason. And it's incredible, Jason, that we didn't elect Hillary, because if we did, we'd be looking at 1,000 years of darkness right now, folks. And I thank God that we didn't elect her. Infowars.com.
I mean, God almighty. And it's like, I'm glad they have a venue, and I don't want to see anybody get deplatformed. I think that's extremely dangerous. It continues to happen. But again, when you say things, blanket statements, like the Democratic Party has become the party of Lucifer himself, or I don't know, that you had a conversation with both Jesus Christmas and God, and separately, on separate occasions, they told you to destroy Joe Rogan, and you put that out there.
The feud with Rogan was incredible, but the makeup was even better. I mean,
the sneaky snake stuff was funny. I'm not going to lie, the sneaky snake. I'm just not like, listen, I'm never going to say I had a conversation with God unless I actually somehow believe it. And I'll tell you what, you guys will be the first to know. I will broadcast. I'll be like, this is it, guys. I didn't know, but had the conversation. Let's talk about it. It's real. But come on, man. I just think that's so cheap. It's.
Did you see Emmerich down in Texas at Trump's rally in an armored vehicle driving around with a bullhorn and a flag in the Humvee?
I tweeted it when I saw it, and someone, you know, where I saw the video, there was some kind of like Sandy Hook reference in there, and that wasn't where I was trying to go. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to, you know, come on, man. I'm just not. I guess if you want to be that guy, go ahead and be that guy. But I'm trying to really change the world. I don't care about my radio numbers or if the Democrats are the party of Satan, apparently. I mean, I'm trying to work with people. I want a better tomorrow. We got real issues to deal with.
That's what we're doing, Jason. And that's why I'm off the sidelines and I'm getting loud for Tulsi Gabbard in 2020. We're not going to agree on everything. I got a lot of friends who are all across the political spectrum, but they're seeing what I'm doing. And I'm getting message from a lot of people who are former MAGA people, libertarians, independents, moderates who are very interested in Tulsi, and they're going to her events here in New Hampshire. They want to hear what she has to say. And they just really appreciate that on a basic human level, she is respectful towards other people, because that's something that's seriously missing from our discourse. And to get anything done, man, you got to build coalitions in government and in life.
Everywhere. Government's not the only place. You know, that's the other thing. You know,
that's true.
And let me say this. You know, that's what I think a lot of people missed with that George Carlin clip that went kind of viral with Larry King. I'm not sure if you saw that, where he was talking about punching at low-hanging fruit, and the social justice warriors tried to grab on it because he kind of went after Dice. But if you watch the larger part of the clip, he's like, look, I love people one-on-one. When I'm having a conversation with somebody, I see the best in humanity. He goes, soon as you throw someone in there, and all of a sudden it's a little different. Now we got 4 people, and all of a sudden people are wearing armbands and little hats, and now they got slogans and they got chants. That can be dangerous. Right. And now you're on team baseball. And why not it be a bunch of different individuals that can find one goal set and work towards and push that, but don't have to dress up in black outfits and attack people in red hats. That's all I'm saying.
Right. That's right. And high school preps you for life, Burmis. I mean, in high school, Mike and I didn't fit in with one group. I mean, we both played sports. We both did drama. We both did student government. So we wore a lot of hats, and we had a large coalition of friends. And I was never bullied. We never had problems with bullies. For the most part, we were just known as guys who got along with everybody and saw the humanity and value in every single person.
And the humor and everything.
And we need that not only in government, man, we just need it in every aspect of our life, in our society, because we are all individuals, but we do all have a common goal, and that we want to live a nice life. We want to make some money. We want to take care of our family. We want to spend time with our friends. And, that's something that people are liking about Tulsi, and that's what attracts me to her campaign, and that's why I'm supporting her.
I totally agree. And talking about building coalitions, we need a coalition of people right now to subscribe to Jackman Radio. 12 subscribers? Come on, man. This is good stuff.
Let's do 1,000 tonight, folks.
Yeah,
if you do 1,000 tonight, I'll take you to my gun range. We'll teach you how to shoot.
I want to address this super chat because I did a small Ask Me Anything when I was walking my dog in the park today.
Yeah, definitely.
And, Flick Off, who's a great sponsor of mine, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically he talked about Jake Marfonius and a couple of other people. And I'm like, I actually like a lot of Marfonius' work. I've never talked to the guy. What I do like about Blackstone Intelligence is that he's actually gone on the ground and, done research.
I like a lot more.
Oh, man, I keep hearing that backup. But anyway, he's done a lot of research, and he's done a lot of good work. I may not agree with everything he has to say, but I also, as far as I know, he's never personally attacked me. Now, the other 2 people in the super chat have personally attacked me several times over. And, to me, it's just like, I don't feed the beast. Like unless you're going to have an honest conversation with me, I'm really not interested in going back and forth. I mean, you've seen my channel. I certainly don't go out of my way to go after anybody that's outside of the mainstream. I mean, when I report on Alex Jones, it's because it's national news. And I'll have his back on one issue, again, the deplatforming, the ability to say what you want to say, etc.
Right.
But you don't go beyond the law and libel people and then lie about it afterwards and make it worse. And, I have to point that out as well. We are all responsible for what we have to say. And I can't tell you how many times I was in that office and he'd tell me I was going to get him fucking sued. Well, you know how many times I had to hear I was going to get sued over the fucking McGregor thing? Let me tell you, I'll say it here. Hey, Conor McGregor, whether he ever gets convicted of it or not, and he can sue me, the UFC can sue me, Disney, they have a lot more money than me, they could ruin my life. I beg them for the chance for discovery. Conor McGregor is a rapist, a violent rapist who had on at least one occasion beat and raped a woman in front of people viciously. And the UFC, Disney, ESPN, and all of you, not only just the MMA journalists, all you people in the media protecting that billion-dollar cash cow, you should be ashamed of yourselves. It shows you how sad the news is. It's a microcosm for why we'll never get the full truth on the Epstein case. Why Prince Andrew, who's an arms dealer in the UK, we'll talk about him having sex with little girls. Nothing will be done about that. But it'll be a big fuck you on the other end when he sells $400 billion in missiles to Saudi Arabia that you don't even know who they kill. I mean, that's the real world. That's how I feel about it, and someone's got to say it.
Yeah, you're right about that. Absolutely, and it's like True Detective, man. We get the world we deserve, and if we don't pay attention and we don't get involved, and we just stay docile and our heads buried in the sand, we do get the world we deserve. So we're trying to, do something about it, and in the capacity that we can. I mean, we have day jobs, and that take up a lot of our time. But outside of that, we're reading and researching and trying to book guests for our show and trying to get information out there that's credible, nonpartisan, and just get people to think for themselves. I really like what you always say, Burmis, and I tell people this too. Use your own discernment. You have your own brain in your head, man. Fucking use it. You're more powerful than you realize.
I know y'all have great. Listen, all right. Let's get all crazy and quantum on everybody. That's why it's so disconcerting to me. No matter what you believe, whether you're a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, a Buddhist, whatever you believe, whether you're an atheist, you know what I mean, or just maybe a little agnostic like me, whatever it is you believe, right? The idea that we don't have free will, and the idea that we're at some part of a simulation, or we're part of this quantum realm of the multiverse where everything happens an infinite amount of time, subconsciously, I think that hurts our psyche as human beings, because it says, number one, you're infinitely unimportant. Number two, you infinitely didn't really make any of these decisions, especially if you're in a simulation, right? Or if you did, it happened in an infinite different number of ways, so who are you really? You don't have free will. You don't have any responsibility. You're just on the roller coaster, man, so enjoy the ride. I don't believe that. I believe at the very least, in this realm, whatever it is, whether it's a flat, Earth, whether it's a spinning ball in space, whether it's a simulation, or it's the multiverse in someone's quantum computer in their basement, right? Or whatever the hell you call it, right? Good and evil absolutely exist, and human beings are a unique species that are able to discern that and make decisions based on that. And sometimes we are very selfish, and we go against those instincts of what is good and what is better for others. And we take greed, and we take evil, and we do bad things. And some people thrive on that. And at the end of the day, I don't know if there's going to be somebody that judges it, man, but I know good and evil exists, and I am going to work my ass off to try to put as much good out in the world as I can. And I see that you guys have done that with your careers. So how do we get more and more people to understand that?
Well, we have to talk to them on a human level. We can't talk down to people. And Mike just did a great interview with Robbie Martin of Media Roots, Abby Martin's brother, who we're big fans of and admire all the work that Abby Martin and Robbie Martin have done. And Robbie said something to Mike that was really made me feel really good about what we've done and how we carry ourselves, and that when we engage with people or we're talking about this stuff or bringing to light the stuff that we've uncovered and that we know, and you're just like this too, Burmis, we're not condescending about it. We don't talk down to people. We don't look down upon people, because I'm the first to admit, man, I'm not a brilliant guy. I'm not a genius. I don't know everything, but I trust in what I've researched, and I trust in my methods, and I trust that I've looked at all sides and all angles of something before I come to a conclusion, or before I'm willing to share the knowledge I've gained and my insight with other people. And Robbie Martin said that, the Jackman brothers, you guys come across as very sincere and humorous and good intention. And what you're doing is you wanting to inform people and empower them with enlightenment. And I really believe that. I believe that being enlightened is incredibly empowering. It's the old trope, knowledge is power. But, dude, it really is, man. And when you know that maybe you know something another human being doesn't know, you want to find a way to share it with them. You want to connect with them on a human level. And you want to put aside all the bullshit and the divide and conquer shit that is weaponized and leveled at us by the media, by sports, by the militarism of our society, by the hatred and the fear-mongering we have going on, coming at us 24/7, whether it's big Hollywood movies or the media or religious figures or whatever it is, and just connect with someone on a one-on-one. Like Carlin said, like you mentioned, Carlin, one-on-one with people. That's where we can do our best, man. And just level with people and tell them where you're coming from. And people say, Eric, why the hell do you look at that stuff? And I said, well, because a lot of people aren't, and we're getting screwed. We're getting screwed big time by a small clique of people. And the jig could be up, man, if more of us became aware and hit to their game and spread that knowledge and did it in a loving and caring way with compassion.
I couldn't agree more. And hopefully my audience can't either, as they subscribe to Jackman Radio right now. It's in the description right here. I want to have a little fun with you guys before we go. So, President Trump, what happens if Hillary Clinton comes in on this, sandbags the rest of the Democrats, cuts the throat of Joey B? How will you defeat the Queen of Mean in 2020?
Look, Jason, I can totally see it happening, okay? The writing's on the wall right now. She's trying to destroy Tulsi Gabbard. And let me tell you, that thing backfired, and it backfired big league in Crooked Hillary's disgusting, ugly, rotten, dirty, raping, pillaging, corrupt, ugly face, okay? It did. Believe me, it did. But I will be so nasty and so vicious to Crooked Hillary if she rears her ugly head and flares up like herpes on the American political landscape in 2020 that I will take a flamethrower to Hillary like Kurt Russell in the movie The Thing, and it will be bigger, better, and stronger than anyone's ever seen. Believe me.
So you're not going to lock her up. You're going to fire her up and roast her out.
She's going to be flame broiled like a triple whopper at Burger King at 2 a.m. after a night of drinking out at the bar where you maybe took home a Russian tranny. You didn't look under the hood before you went there. But once you got under the hood, you had so much Stoli to drink, you just didn't give a fuck.
And I got to ask, Alex Jones of InfoWars, recently, on quite a few occasions now, Project Veritas has really shown you up and you've had to ride their coattails. Will you be infiltrating MSNBC or other liberal organizations anytime soon? Or are you just going to go to the heart of the matter and reveal every Democrat in this country and around the world as a socialist and Satanist?
Jason, you know what I did when I infiltrated the Bohemian Grove? Okay, I broke that story. Okay, I'm the one who actually saw Henry Kissinger with a coconut bra with a bunch of child meat hanging out of his teeth. He just ate a baby. Okay, he had just eaten a baby in Bohemian Grove. I broke that story. Drudge picked up on it. What I will do, and Project Veritas, they do great work. Let's be honest, though. They got a law from Alex Jones. I'm the one who did that first. I told everybody how to do that. I broke up on all these stories, Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, Infowars.tv, Infowars.net. And before I even do that, folks, I have a new dating site since I got deplatformed. It's called Nympho Whores. It's a great place for patriots to get together and just let things rip. The liberal media is being exposed. They are running a Soros gulag, folks. They are doing a George Soros-funded gulag. And it makes my head blow up. I'm taking InfoWars from 20 hours a day to 24 hours a day. Folks, I might even do 25 hours a day. I'm going to do 25 hours a day. I will expose the liberal agenda. Pelosi, Schumer, they will all be defeated. They are all wretched scum, and they will be defeated. Infowars.com.
Guys, this has been an utter pleasure. I'm so glad to get you both on together. We got to do it more often. Don't be afraid to reach out, especially if you have a time in mind. I'll definitely try to work around your schedules. Why don't you tell people why right now they need to hit that link and subscribe? Because you need to get to 1,000 so you can live stream like this. So you can go on the drop of a dime when you have a brilliant bit in your head. Or when Donald Trump needs to tell somebody something after a big, big rally in Missouri.
Excuse me. Look, the Jackman brothers are doing it incredibly. No one's doing it like the Jackmans. If you like what they're doing with their interview series with Politics and Pints, go to patreon.com/Jackman Radio. Everything is funded by the patrons and out of pocket, so there's no corporate meddling, okay? There's no collusion with Big Pharma or Budweiser, okay? Everything is done the way the Jackmans want it, so you really should check it out, right, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone here hasn't seen our shows, watch any of them. I mean, you tell me any other media show who's going to ask a major presidential candidate about JFK assassination, about RFK's assassination, the Gulf of Tonkin, 9/11, the CFR,
Epstein.
the Bilderberg, Jeffrey Epstein. Watch these slickly produced 25, 30, 40-minute episodes, and if you see the value, well, become a subscriber and tell all your friends about it. It's our passions out there, our hearts out there. So thank you, Jason, for having us on, and thank you for everyone for your support.
Guys, it's at Jackman Radio on Twitter, but it's over at Jackman Radio on the web. You need to watch this show. I laugh I cry. I see that Best of Alex Jones impersonation. I actually watched the whole thing. If that comes from the Jackman Radio Presents Into Oblivion comedy special.
nice.
No, I watched that. You guys do great work, and I hope you continue to grow. And I hope that this becomes your day job because it deserves to. And you know what? Let's hope that Tulsi gets into the next round of debates, that she overcomes this media, military, industrial complex that wants to smear her and silence her voice. And that doesn't mean she's perfect, guys. But
No.
how can
Yeah.
people help Tulsi quit? Because I know you're big on that as well.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, even before all this Hillary bullshit broke out, Tulsi hit her first qualifying poll for the November debate, which is huge. So she's got 3 more to go. To help Tulsi, just go to tulsi2020.com/donate. Donate whatever you can for our birthday because we turned 33. We asked people to contribute $33. If you can do more, that's great.
You
And then-
Mason bastards!
We're Illuminati. We're 33-degree Masons.
Oh, no, you're a racist now, according to the FBI.
Oh, fuck the FBI. I hope you're listening. Fuck you. And
Fuck Robert Mueller, by the way.
follow Tulsi on all the fucking social media platforms, dude. Since this crooked Hillary flare up and dust up, she's got over 100,000 new Twitter followers. It's fucking awesome. She's sticking it to that nasty warmongering fucking monster, and she's the only one doing it. So share her stuff, look at it, do some research, contribute. And if you live in New Hampshire or Iowa, answer your fucking phone because it might be a pollster calling, and you only need a certain amount of people to say, I'm going to vote for Tulsi Gabbard, and those will go towards qualifying polls to help her get into the debate.
So awesome, guys. Once again, I thank you, and we will be in touch. Now's the time to go over and subscribe to Jackman Radio. And guys, if you like this sort of thing, I'm doing it a bunch, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a day here. Thumbs this video up, share it with others. We're talking about real topics. I'm also a documentary filmmaker. All those films are in the documentaries playlist: Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and Shade, the motion picture. Like I said, we do it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a day. Yes, the victim of the violent beating and rape, the alleged victim, okay, has already refused a offering of over $1 million from McGregor. And we go over Tulsi Gate, the Podesta emails, WikiLeaks, and a lot more. And I did a small little AMA from a little memorial site in my town. So I want to thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you all on the flip side.